Hey y'all, welcome into Bales Farms and our little get together here that we call Fireside Conviviality. My name is Barry Bales. As always, this is the enigmatic, effervescent, ever encouraging Allison Bales. Hi.
Hi.
Happy New Year. We haven't seen you and haven't talked with you since before Christmas, right? So we hope that 2021 is treating you better than 2020 did. That remains to be seen. I think it may be summer before we really see a real change, but who knows? I don't know. I'm just doing the best I can to get out of bed in the mornings at my age and in the shape I'm in. But anyway, welcome. We're glad you're here. Thanks for playing along, and we're going to bring you up to date on what's been going on and have a little chat, answer some questions, just a little fun and frivolity. Is that how you say it? Frivolity? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. My phone has made me dumber and dumber over the years, as it does everything for me. So anyway, what's going on with you? How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Well, I'm good. It's been a challenging duck season, and that's always a bummer because you look forward to it all year long.
Yes, you do.
And when you're dealing with migratory birds, there's not a whole lot you can do about it except just play the hand you're dealt. But I've been giving it the old college try. Going in the morning, have...
Did you see any ducks?
Yeah, I saw a lot of ducks today.
Good.
We're about to get a cold front, snowstorm. There's a big snowstorm. Have they always named winter storms?
I don't know. I think the Weather Channel started that.
Well, I'm sure they did. But anyway, evidently there's a winter storm going across the Midwest. And we're supposed to get some snow tomorrow, a lot of good wind. So I'm cautiously optimistic, as all waterfowlers are. But anyway, we like to feature a cocktail during our little get-together here. What are you having today?
I'm having my tried and true grapefruit rosemary martini.
That's an old favorite.
It is an old favorite.
Well,
I started this the week of quarantine. I had never had it before, and I started it then, and it's gotten me through some tough times.
well, good. You know, I'm sitting right here.
What are you drinking, darling?
Well, I have a stable of drinks that I sort of cycle through, and I'm currently out of Campari, so
I know. I offered to go get him Campari today at the store.
I have other options.
Okay.
So I made a Vocaré, which does not require Campari.
I don't even know what that is or how you spell that.
It's,
What language is that?
well, I assume it's French.
Oh.
Vieux, maybe Carr.
I don't know.
E.
We need Erin
No.
Turner here. She speaks French fluently.
Really?
Yes.
Or does she speak Cajun?
Well, Cajun French.
Well, I don't know that the two are
She can teach
inseparable.
French. She can teach it.
She just puts a EAUX on everything.
That's not true. I am so sorry. That's not true.
But anyway, yes, that's a Vocaré. So it's
Cheers.
cheers. Here's to not only making it through
Something.
another week, here's to making it to another year.
Yes.
So what's new on the farm? We got, we're just kind of maintaining right now. We processed all our cattle.
And we have ordered meat birds, broilers.
We have.
So they will be here April. That's the first time that we can get them to keep them alive here on the farm. Meat birds are not cold weather hardy.
Chickens.
Right. They're
Yes.
not cold weather hardy, so you cannot raise them on pasture in the winter. So we have a harvest date, as
Well, and a
they
lot of
say.
processors won't start processing until the 1st of June.
So we have a processing date in June.
All that to say, we're going to have, if all these stars align and nothing happens, we'll have chicken again
Yes,
this summer.
if processors don't shut down again.
Right. And we have,
But there's hope coming, I think.
yeah. And thank you everybody, and our apologies for the egg situation, but when you raise chickens outside, they don't lay as much in the winter, almost to the point of not laying.
Well,
But the reason that I said that was we have 300 new girls in the brooder that are scheduled to start laying 1st of April-ish. So hopefully we'll be back in it before long. So anyway.
well, as my nephew Will says, sometimes you just need a break. And everybody needs a break, chickens included. They can't just lay all the time. They are not here just for our pleasure.
Well, they're getting a big break now. I'm ready for their break to be over.
Well, you just need to be patient.
What else? Been doing a little bit of recording, remote recording.
You have, yes. Not me. You have.
No, I have.
People don't often call me for that.
Well, I wish you would learn how to engineer, because I, for a long time, was a professional musician. I never studied nor learned really anything about engineering or IT.
What you need to do is
But now it's all on me. I'm the bass player, the engineer, the second engineer, the computer guy, the Pro Tools expert.
Why don't you have a little satellite office for Brandon Bell or Gary Pachosa and have them come over and just...
Brandon's too busy and I can't afford Gary. He's probably climbing Mount Everest or something.
With Paul McCartney.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or eating vegan food with Paul McCartney. Sir Paul.
Right. So we put out the call for questions.
Ask us anything is what we're calling this segment.
But that doesn't mean we'll answer anything.
We need to have music for this segment. Brandon, you need to come over and help Barry. And you all could...
I wonder if I got to figure out how to layer in music in the background. So anyway, questions.
Questions.
Yes.
Okay. The first question is from Fraser Farm TN, and it says, this is from Instagram, and it says, any mistakes you made on the farm early on that you wish you could go back and tell yourself to avoid?
As opposed to the mistakes I make every day.
That's very nice that you think we've got it figured out.
Well, I've been thinking long and hard about that question, actually. I saw it come in, and I don't know that I can say something specific.
Okay, time out. We don't talk about anything that we talk about here off camera. So this is all...
Right.
I know it's shocking for you to realize that we don't practice.
I know it
because
seems
we're
like
very
we're professionals, but
Anyway, go ahead.
I don't think that there's something specific that I can say, such as don't raise hybrid chickens or don't buy this feed or don't, because everybody's operation is different. If we're talking specifically about people wanting advice for their own farm, because everybody's different. What might work for us might not work for you, and vice versa. So I was trying to think of some overall overarching principles that might apply. And one thing that came to mind was, particularly for what we do, and probably for anybody that would be listening and watching this and interested in what we have to say, we're going to be in the same boat as far as our beliefs and our production methods, et cetera, et cetera. So one thing that I would say is it's really easy to get caught up in what other people think. So if you've done your research and or put in the time and have the on-the-ground experience, and you know what you want to do, how you want to do it, and why you want to do it, don't worry about what other people think. For example, what I'm getting at is the county that we live in is one of the largest, it's the number one beef cattle county in the state of Tennessee. But hardly anybody else around us does things the way we do it. So it's easy to see somebody else, to see a neighbor or a friend or somebody in a position of authority that has been doing it longer than you have, that you might go, oh, well, crap, they're doing it this way. So what's wrong with, why, what am I screwing up? What am I doing wrong? For us, and I've never been, well, I won't say never say never. By and large, I don't care what people think. If I know that I'm going to do whatever I'm going to do, or I'm going to wear what I'm going to wear, or eat or drink or whatever. But still, it's easy, particularly in the agricultural world, to get caught up in that. I always say most people in this county look at what we're doing and they go, well, why are you doing it that way? I say, people think we're raising unicorns over here. So just once you've done your due diligence, once you've done your research, once you have a plan, you put the numbers to it, and are ready to launch, don't worry what everybody else is doing. Farmers are the last to change. They're the most resistant to change. They're the ones that are most likely to go, well, I'm doing it this way because my daddy did it that way, and my granddaddy did it that way. So believe in yourself and don't worry about what other people think. Always be open to advice and listening to other people's opinions, but just because somebody's been in your field, say agriculture, longer than you have, doesn't mean they know more about your operation than you do. What do you have to say about that?
I have also thought about this a lot. And what I have decided is that anytime you start a job, a business, it's hard. And no matter what you do, it's going to be hard. There's going to be obstacles, and it's not going to be perfect. Did we make mistakes? If you look at it that way, yes. I try to look at things not necessarily as mistakes, but like not looking at things like, oh, that's a mistake, I shouldn't have done that. But as, oh, I learned from that. And it's going to be hard. One thing that I was thinking early on when I first looked at that was that we have had to work before we have had the infrastructure on certain things. Like I remember there were times when I carried buckets of water to animals, and that was really, really hard for me because I'm not very strong and blah, blah, blah. So that was really tough. And before we had the four-wheeler, I would literally carry buckets from here down to water chickens. And that was really tough before we had water down in the barn and all that stuff. But we feel very strongly that we don't take on debt. And so we have had to work hard physically to raise the money to put in the infrastructure. Now, if we had a different philosophy, financial philosophy, we probably would have said, oh, we're just going to borrow money from the bank.
Or
put this
financial
in.
backers like it seems everybody else
Right.
has.
Nobody's backing us. So anyway, except for us. And so if we had had a different philosophy, we would have had debt. That would have made it physically easier, but it would have put more stress on maybe our marriage or our family, or it would have put other stresses on us. So it's still
I don't sleep
hard.
well at night now.
Oh.
let alone if I had debt.
Who does?
So
Anyway, so
along those lines, let me go off on a tangent here. Wonder Twin powers activate. One of the things I was going to say is, along those lines, if you have the money, infrastructure,
water fencing.
fence, water.
I never knew. Let me just say
But
that.
that's not my only thing. My other thing is, I'm guilty of thinking and researching things to death. Back when I used to travel, back in another life when I was a professional musician, I would agonize for 4 or 5 days over buying the right plane ticket.
You did.
So what I'm saying about that is, you definitely want to do all the research you can. You want to talk to all the people you can. But at some point, I mean, Nike has it right. You just got to do it. You got to pull the trigger. There's nothing like hands-on learning. And I definitely want you to interject here and correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we've done anything. I don't think we went into anything like when we pulled the trigger and said, all right, we've got chickens, we've got pigs, we've got cows,
We've got goats.
Well, whatever it is, yes, we made mistakes. Yes, we could have done things differently. Yes, we could have done things better. I don't know that I would classify anything that we've done as a disaster. Would you?
No, because it was all a learning
Because
experience.
we've learned. We've tweaked it all. It's been
Right.
like, oh crap, I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have built it that way. I should have added this. But it wasn't like, oh my gosh, this is a complete freaking disaster.
Right. This is one thing that I was going to say when you said that about water fencing. I had no idea how much of my life would be spent trying to keep animals in where they are supposed to be. No idea. That is half of your life when you have animals.
When you're a farmer, you're trying to keep in the good animals and you're trying to keep out the bad animals.
Right. And so that's tricky to learn, but all these things are learning exercises, and without going through them, you're not going to know it. So I can't really say this was a mistake, this was a mistake, this was a mistake. We learned early on to go slow, to either every year to either add a species or grow a species number that we already have. So in other words, one year we had chickens. The next year we added meat chickens. We didn't grow either of those numbers. We didn't increase in numbers. We just said we're going to learn with a new.
For us personally, goats were a mistake. Sheep were a mistake.
But
That's not to say, I mean, there's obviously plenty of people out there raising both, so it's not something that I can go, don't do this. We should have known better.
I don't consider either of those a mistake. I consider those learning experiences. We were told early on we needed to clear part of our farm. We were told early on by people we really respect and still respect in the agricultural community, you need to get you some goats. You need to get you some goats. They're going to clear everything, and then you're going to sell them to these people at this time, and this is how much you're going to make, and it's going to be phenomenal.
Which should have been my first cue that something was amiss.
Well, it didn't work that way at all.
No.
They did not clear the land.
Well,
they bit the butt out of my coat, remember? Like, that's how crazy they are.
I was at a grazing conference.
I was wearing the coat. Go ahead.
Well, I was at a grazing conference one time, and this guy was talking about rotational grazing and temporary fence, and this woman in the front row raised her hand and said, well, I raise goats. Would this kind of fence, would this fit my operation? And the guy never cracked a smile. And he said, straight face as he could be, if your fence will hold water, it'll hold a goat.
That's truer words have never been spoken.
But enough about goats.
And I love sheep. I love seeing sheep in a field. It's just one of the joys of my life to see them. They're just so sweet.
Well, I'll take you to Buddy Milton's house.
And we had sheep, and it was not a win financially, and it was not a win physically.
No.
Because they were they were difficult to keep in. They were, unlike pigs, when they got out of the fence, they could not get back in the fence. Pigs are super sweet, and
I love
they
pigs. I went
are-
down there today, walking down through the woods, and I said, "Hey, pigs." And as I'm going to the gate, they literally ran as hard as they could run to meet me.
Yes, I know. We have really sweet pigs. But pigs are like repentant teenagers that have been out drinking the night before. That when they get out and can't get back in, they are so very sorry,
Well,
and they come right back, and they are very obedient afterwards.
I wouldn't go that far. My wife has the propensity to personify animals, and she routinely will come in and say, "Well, the pigs were out." Like back when I used to travel, I'd be on the road, I'd call home and say, "Well, what happened today?" "Well, the pigs got out." So, which always happens when you're gone. And she'd say, "But I scolded them and gave them a stern talking to." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, how'd that go?"
And they went right back in, and they were super sweet. And
Whatever.
the pigs are the easiest to get back in. Super easy, super sweet, very smart. So see, that's something that we learned. Anyway, nobody else cares as much as we do about what we're talking about. So why don't we do one more question today?
Okay, let's do it.
And then quickly wrap up, and then we'll be back to answer more questions on another video.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll do a super quick question because thank you all, we got lots of questions, so I'll do a super quick question here that you can answer, and it'll be quick, and then we'll be done. Sorry. This question is, how awesome is Alison Krauss? Can you answer that quickly?
Well,
I mean, you've had, 30, how many years now?
specifically, like in one particular area or over?
That was just a question. How awesome is Alison Krauss?
She is awesome. She is, how do you quickly talk about Alison Krauss after 30 years? She is obviously insanely talented. She is incredibly kind and thoughtful.
Passionate about what she believes in.
Passionate about what she believes in. Goofy as they come, and I think she would agree with that. I'm not going to say anything that she wouldn't sign off on.
She does not like to talk about herself or bring.
No, she's very self-conscious. She is not about. She is about doing her job and doing it well, and she's not about any of. She cares nothing about anything that comes with success or, dare I even say, stardom, other than how can we take this and parlay this into a better opportunity to present our music or to showcase this other person that we're fans of.
Well, I read an interview that she did. It was with a magazine, and it was the magazine where they did the photo shoot at her mom and dad's in the bathroom. Do you remember that? She was leaning up against her mom's clawfoot tub that she was put in. Anyway, she had on that great yellow dress that I really like. Anyway, she said the quote was something about the reward for hard work.
It's hard work.
It's hard work.
Yeah.
That's just her.
Like I'm doing it wrong. I don't want to do it that way. I am doing it that way, but I want the reward for hard work to be like
to be
millions of dollars or
laying on a beach, getting some sun with a drink in my hand.
Yeah, a bottle of Pappy Rye or something.
But one thing that I will say about her is that she is very kind. Like, she's come over here before and sat down on the floor when Marshall was younger and just played Legos with him, and very, like, truly engaging with him about, tell me about this little minifig.
Oh, yeah.
And so very kind.
Yeah.
Always remembers people's names. I was with you all one time, and even you said, like, somebody was coming up to her, and she looked at you, and she said something like, that's so-and-so, because you said somebody's out there. I don't know who it was. It was Kentucky. You said somebody's out there and he wants to talk to you. And she was like, oh yeah, and remember he had a brother named blah, 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 and y'all hadn't seen him since like 1987 or something.
Right.
And she remembered him and his brother, and
Yeah.
She's like Spurgeon McCart, like that.
Yeah, she's like most women. She has a really great memory.
Okay, so we're wrapping up.
This is stretch. What's the wrap? Is that wrap up?
No, maybe this is a wrap. I don't know. Anyway, I need to ask my sister. She was a producer, news producer.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, well, enough of this foolishness.
Yes, thank you.
So the next time, who knows when the next one will be?
After duck season, probably, because you're
probably.
going to be gone.
Well, thank you for coming. Please let us know if we can do anything for you. Send in questions, all that. So have a happy January, whatever you're doing. Again, as always, stay safe, and we will see you next time. Anything to add?
Have a good weekend.
Okay.